As the more affordable brand of Rolex, Tudor is known for producing more attainable alternatives to its more famous siblings watches, but one watch in Tudor's catalog that has always been a bit hard to categorize using this definition is the Black Bay 36. While once considered a stand-in for the Rolex Explorer, the recent reintroduction of the Tudor Ranger has seemingly usurped that title from the Black Bay 36. So where does that leave the little time-only watch with the diver-style dial? Well, in our opinion, it leaves it as simply the best everyday watch that Tudor makes. Now let's find out why. If we had to come up with a concise phrase to describe the Tudor Black Bay 36, it would be rugged yet refined. It's very obviously a tool watch, yet it boasts enough polish and elegance that we wouldn't hesitate to wear it with a suit. Like most modern Tudors, the Black Bay 36 has the distinction of capturing the spirit of a vintage Rolex watch while bringing in just enough modern touches to qualify it as a contemporary luxury watch. In our opinion, Tudor does this better than any other modern Rolex, whose watches have become too luxurious to realistically be used as tools anymore. One thing we immediately noticed about the Black Bay 36 was its quirky nature. This is a time-only tool watch akin to a field watch or explorer's watch, and yet its dial has the same classic dive watch layout you'd find on the Black Bay 58 or Submariner. Seeing those familiar indices along with Tudor's trademark snowflake hands, paired with a smooth bezel, was admittedly a little jarring. But jarring as it may be, we still love the way the BB36 looks, especially on wrist. Modestly sized at 36mm, the watch feels both classic and refined, and reminded us of Don Draper's Explorer that he wore in the middle of Mad Men's run. In other words, this watch has a cool factor that's really hard to ignore. The case, like others in Tudor's sprawling Black Bay line, is simple in design but well done in its execution. It's more or less an oyster-style case with straight lugs featuring fine circular brushing on their top surfaces, accompanied by a polished chamfer running edge to edge. The chamfer leads into the fully polished side of the case, and while the watch does sport the typical Tudor slab side, the polarizing effect of a slab-sided case is greatly minimized by the watch's surprising thinness. Measuring just 10.4mm from the case back to the top of the flat sapphire crystal, the Black Bay 36 is remarkably thin, especially compared to the rest of the Black Bay line. This lean dimension, when combined with its 36mm diameter and short 44mm lug-to-lug measurement, leads to an extremely easy-wearing watch on the wrist. We think the watch is just about the perfect size for anyone, but if you find the Black Bay 36 too small, or less likely too large, Tudor also makes a Black Bay 41 and a Black Bay 32. However, be sure to take note of the 19mm lug width, as third-party strap options will be a bit harder to come by. The bezel of the Black Bay 36 is extremely well done. A fixed, sloping stainless steel bezel, it's finished in a high-shine mirror polish that brings a ton of pop to the watch. If it weren't for this feature, the watch may look too toolish to pull off double duty as a casual watch and a dress watch, so we're thankful Tudor went the route it did. The case back is, like basically all Tudors and Rolexes, virtually plain and screw down. Not much to report on here, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it, we suppose. Then there's the crown. Tudor has fitted the Black Bay 36 with a protruding crown tube in black aluminum that is, well, a bit odd. The tube juts out of the case a couple millimeters, and it just keeps the crown from sitting flush against the case even when screwed all the way down. This kept us thinking our crown was pulled out even when it wasn't. We just don't see the aesthetic value here and would much rather see a more typical crown setup without the tube. As we alluded to earlier, the dial on the Tudor Black Bay 36 is a bit of an odd duck. It may prove to be a point of contention for some, but we happen to love the quirks. The indices are what you would find on any number of classic Rolex and Tudor dive watches, and across the Black Bay line. That means an inverted triangle at 12, bars at 3, 6, and 9, and dots at all other hours. All indices are applied with polished surrounds, and they're maxi-sized and filled with generous amounts of lume. The hands, like other Black Bay watches, are of Tudor's typical snowflake variety. That means diamond tips for the hour and the seconds hands, with a pencil-shaped hand marking the minutes. All hands are fairly oversized, and again are filled with plenty of lume. At night, the BB36 lights up like a torch, with all that lume glowing strong and bright in Tudor's usual bold green shade. Surrounding the indices is a white printed chapter ring, bringing a bit of vintage flair to the watch in a rather tasteful and subdued way. The dial printing is sparse and balanced, with Tudor's shield logo and Tudor Genève sitting just a hair under the 12 o'clock index, and rotor self-winding printed above the 6 o'clock. The words self-winding follow the curve of the dial, rather than forming a straight horizontal line, giving the impression of a smile. This smile dial is yet another divisive quirk of the Black Bay 36, but we fall on the smiling side. If you've ever handled a modern Tudor, you know that the brand makes some of the best bracelets in the business, and this one definitely doesn't disappoint. Fully brush save for the polished outer edges, the oyster-style bracelet of the Black Bay 36 has a generous taper and link spacing that brings to mind vintage Rolex, but its build is a hell of a lot more solid. There are none of the faux rivets that plague so many other bracelets in Tudor's Black Bay line, resulting in a much cleaner look that makes the watch easy to dress up. The bracelet articulates well and falls flush from the end links with no overhang, resulting in a very comfortable wearing experience. The clasp, like others we've seen on various Black Bays, is excellent. It's a fold-over clasp with a signed safety lock that fits perfectly flush against the clasp, with the two pieces combining to form the Tudor Shield logo when closed, making for a fun little Easter egg for the wearer. The clasp is also secured via a series of ceramic ball bearings, ensuring that it will not wear down and loosen up as the years go by. Overall, we love the clasp and the bracelet, but we wouldn't mind seeing the clasp, as nice as it is, swapped out in favor of Tudor's Quick Adjust T-Fit clasp, as seen on the Black Bay Pro. To describe the Black Bay 36's movement as a letdown wouldn't really be accurate, but it is a bit underwhelming. Recent Tudor releases have almost exclusively featured manufacturer movements from the brand, boasting some impressive specs, with some even carrying Metis Master Chronometer certification, but the BB36 gets no such treatment. Powering the watch is the Tudor Caliber T600 automatic movement, a modified ETA 2824-2 or Sellita SW200-1 with a somewhat lacking reserve of 38 hours. It's a robust and reliable movement, and the watch's 150 meters of water resistance isn't anything to sneeze at, but we can't help but feel that Tudor will be swapping it out for a more impressive in-house engine whenever it decides to update the Black Bay 36 line. As we said in our intro, we still think that the Black Bay 36 is the best everyday watch that Tudor makes. There may be a few things we'd change, chief among them being the protruding crown tube, but overall it's hard not to love such a fun and versatile little watch. With its old school Rolex vibes providing plenty of style, its numerous quirks injecting loads of personality, and its classic size making it suitable for all situations, the Tudor Black Bay 36 is truly a watch that we could see ourselves wearing every day.